Dear friends and fellow dreamer, today I stand before you with a message that might sound a little unconventional. But I ask you to keep an open mind as we explore it together. It's a message that challenges the very fabric of what we've been taught about kindness. And that message is, stop being kind. Now, before you jump to conclusions and think I have lost my mind, let me explain, as you tell me in your own words. Live by the manifold. I'm not asking you to stop being compassionate, empathetic, or loving. In fact, I'm encouraging you to embrace those values more deeply. But what I want us to reflect on is the form of kindness we're offering. And more importantly, the motivation behind it. We live in a world where kindness is often seen as a badge of honor. We're told that if we are kind, we will be loved, admired, and respected. We do kind things to get praise, to look good in the eyes of others, or perhaps to prove to ourselves that we are good people. But in all this, we forget one important thing. Kindness should never be transactional. Too often, we hide our true needs behind the veil of kindness. The fear of being wrong is the common denominator in our sadness, insecurity, and frustration. We give and give all the while expecting something in return, whether it's validation, recognition, or even control. When kindness becomes a currency we trade, it loses its purity. We start giving with an agenda, and the recipient can feel it. Kindness should be a gift, not a transaction. So I'm asking you, stop being kind for the sake of others' approval. Stop being kind to fit into a mold or to check off a box of societal expectations. Instead, I want you to start being kind because it feels true to who you are. Because kindness, when it comes from a place of authenticity, can change the world. But we must first start by honoring ourselves in the process. Kindness is not about pleasing everyone around you or stretching yourself thin to make others happy. It is about knowing your limits, setting boundaries, and choosing to be kind to yourself first. You cannot pour from an empty cup. If you are constantly giving away your energy and compassion without replenishing your own, you will eventually burn out. Stop being kind when it means sacrificing your peace for someone else's comfort. Stop being kind if it means silencing your voice, diminishing your worth, or compromising your integrity. Kindness should never make you lose yourself in the process. And here's the truth. There will be people who will not appreciate your kindness. There will be people who take your goodness for granted or, worse, exploit it. But remember, kindness is not for them. It is for you. You don't need validation from the world. You don't need applause for every small gesture. Real kindness comes from the place within you that knows you are enough, just as you are. So stop being kind for approval. Stop being kind because you think you must. Be kind because your soul has space for it, because you understand that kindness, when rooted in authenticity and self-respect, becomes the very thing that transforms you and the world around you. Let us stop offering kindness as a way to manipulate or control. Let us stop offering kindness to simply fit into a narrative of perfection. And let us instead offer kindness in its purest form, from a heart that is whole, a heart that knows its worth, and a heart that gives freely without expectations. Kindness is often seen as a virtue, something to be aspired to in both our personal and professional lives. It is regarded as one of the fundamental traits that make us human. We are taught from an early age to be kind to others, to share, help, and show empathy. However, there is an underlying complexity to kindness that we often overlook. The true essence of kindness lies not in the act itself, but in the intention behind it. And if we are not careful, kindness can easily become transactional, a mere tool to gain something in return. It is this transactional nature of kindness that we need to reflect upon. When kindness becomes transactional, it shifts from a genuine expression of goodwill to something that is calculated. It becomes a method of seeking validation, approval, or even control. This is when kindness loses its purity. Instead of being a selfless act of giving, it becomes a trade. We offer kindness, expecting something in return, whether it's praise, gratitude, or even a sense of superiority. We start to use kindness as a means to achieve our own personal goals, and in doing so, we reduce the beautiful essence of kindness to a strategy, a way of navigating the world to our benefit. We are often conditioned to believe that kindness is a tool to gain favor in the eyes of others. From a young age, we are told that being kind will make us liked and accepted. It's as if kindness is a commodity that, when offered, guarantees us something in return. And while it is true that kindness can foster connections and build relationships, it is important to ask ourselves whether we are being kind because we genuinely want to help or because we are seeking something in return. When we give kindness with an agenda, we are not truly giving, we are merely performing an act for personal gain. This transactional approach to kindness can manifest in many ways. For example, we may offer help to someone, but in our minds we are hoping for their gratitude, for them to recognize our generosity, or for them to owe us something in the future. We may listen to someone's problems not because we want to empathize, but because we want to feel good about ourselves or be seen as the good person. We may offer kindness to someone in a position of power, hoping it will lead to a favor or benefit down the line. In these cases, the kindness is not genuine. It is motivated by the desire for a return on the investment we've made in someone's life. When kindness becomes transactional, it loses its authenticity. Authentic kindness is not concerned with what we get in return. It is motivated solely by a desire to help, to ease suffering, or to bring joy to someone else. It is driven by empathy, compassion, and a sense of shared humanity. It does not expect anything back, and it does not seek validation. The act of kindness itself is enough. It is pure and untainted by self-interest. In contrast, transactional kindness comes with strings attached. It is not about making the world a better place. It is about making ourselves feel good, look good, or gain something in return. The problem with transactional kindness is that it is not sustainable. When we give kindness with the expectation of receiving something in return, we create an imbalance. We become resentful when our expectations are not met, and this resentment taints the kindness we have offered. It becomes a burden rather than a joy. We start to feel used, and our kindness feels like a sacrifice rather than a gift. The more we expect from others, the more disappointed we become when our needs are not fulfilled. This leads to burnout, frustration, and even cynicism. We may begin to question the point of being kind at all if it doesn't come with the rewards we anticipate. This cycle of giving and expecting can also affect our relationships. When we are kind with an agenda, the people we are being kind to can feel it. They may sense that we are not being genuine in our actions, and this can erode trust. People can sense when kindness is being offered for personal gain. It becomes transactional on both sides. The person receiving the kindness feels obligated to reciprocate, and the person offering it feels resentful when they do not receive the expected return. Over time, this dynamic can create a sense of imbalance, where relationships are based not on mutual respect and love, but on a tit-for-tat exchange. Moreover, when we approach kindness as a transaction, we lose sight of the true power of kindness. Kindness is transformative. It has the ability to heal, to build bridges, to create connections, and to bring light into dark places. But this transformation only happens when kindness is offered freely, without expectation. When we give kindness expecting something in return, we limit its power. We reduce kindness to a mere exchange, a transaction, rather than a force for good in the world. In order to reclaim the true essence of kindness, we must be willing to examine our motivations. Are we being kind because we genuinely care about others? Or are we doing it to gain something for ourselves? Are we offering kindness because we believe in the goodness of humanity? Or are we doing it to fill a void within ourselves? When we give kindness, it should be because it aligns with our values and reflects who we are as people. It should be an expression of our humanity, not a way to manipulate others or gain something in return. Authentic kindness does not require recognition. It does not need to be applauded or validated. It is enough for the person offering it to know that they have made a positive difference in someone else's life. There is no expectation of repayment, no demand for acknowledgement. The joy of kindness comes from the act itself, not from what we receive in return. When we give kindness without strings attached, we open ourselves up to the possibility of deep, meaningful connections with others. So we show up in the world not as people seeking something from others, but as people who are willing to give of themselves freely and without reservation. True kindness is also about understanding our own worth. It is not about giving away everything we have in order to prove that we are good people. It is about recognizing that we are enough just as we are, and that we do not need external validation to feel valuable. When we are kind from a place of self-respect, we are not doing it to fill a gap or compensate for our insecurities. We are doing it because we have an abundance of love, compassion, and empathy to share with others. We give because we can, not because we need something in return. The challenge for all of us is to shift our mindset around kindness. Instead of seeing it as a tool for gaining favor or recognition, we must view it as a powerful force that has the potential to transform both ourselves and the world around us. When we stop viewing kindness as a transaction, we allow it to become a genuine expression of who we are. We can give without expecting, love without conditions, and show compassion without the need for acknowledgement. This is when kindness becomes truly powerful. It is when we give not because we expect something in return, but because it is the right thing to do, the compassionate thing to do, and the human thing to do. Kindness is about freedom. It is about offering ourselves to others without the weight of expectations. When we stop being kind for personal gain, we create space for genuine connection. We begin to give not because we need something in return, but because it feels good to share our humanity with others. And in doing so, we begin to experience the true transformative power of kindness. It is in this pure form that kindness becomes something that not only changes others, but also changes us. Kindness is something we all strive for, and it is an essential trait that is celebrated worldwide. It is often seen as the golden standard for human interactions, something that binds us together, builds connections, and creates positive change. But kindness is not always as straightforward as we might think. It can often be seen through a lens of expectation and validation. We find ourselves doing kind things, not necessarily because we want to help or uplift others, but because we want something in return. Validation, approval, or even admiration. When we are kind for the sake of receiving approval or recognition, we begin to make kindness a form of transaction where we give something and expect something in return. This transactional mindset can be incredibly limiting, both for ourselves and for those we interact with. Kindness, in its pure form, should not come with strings attached. It should not be motivated by the desire for applause or accolades. It should not be used as a currency to buy favor or recognition. Instead, true kindness arises from a place of authenticity, where we offer our help, compassion, or understanding without any ulterior motives. When kindness is driven by the need for approval, it often feels inauthentic. We may give without fully investing in the act because we are already thinking about the reward we expect in return. For example, we may help a colleague or friend, not because we genuinely want to support them, but because we are hoping to receive praise or to be seen as the good person. We might do a good deed, hoping that others will take note and acknowledge our effort. The problem with this approach is that it diminishes the quality of the kindness we are offering. Instead of it being a genuine expression of our values, it becomes a tool for self-gratification. This transactional form of kindness can even lead to resentment. When we expect something in return for our acts of kindness, and that expectation is not met, we may feel disappointed, frustrated, or even bitter. This is especially true when we believe we deserve recognition for the good things we do, but it is not forthcoming. We might feel unappreciated, or worse, we might begin to question why we bother being kind at all if it doesn't result in some form of validation or reward. This cycle of giving with the expectation of receiving something in return ultimately leaves us feeling empty and unfulfilled. The other side of the transactional nature of kindness is the impact it has on our relationships. When we are kind to others with the expectation of getting something back, our relationships can feel unequal. There may be an underlying sense of obligation that others feel in response to our kindness, and this can create a sense of tension. Rather than genuine connections built on mutual respect, understanding, and care, these interactions become tainted by the expectation of reciprocation. Over time, this imbalance can erode the trust that forms the foundation of any relationship. Additionally, when we rely on kindness to gain approval, we can begin to lose sight of why we are truly being kind in the first place. Kindness should never be used as a means to manipulate others or to create an image of ourselves that we think will make others like us. If our kindness is born out of a desire to be seen as a good person, we lose the authenticity that makes our actions meaningful. People can sense when our kindness is motivated by personal gain, and they may begin to feel as though we are not being sincere. Genuine kindness, on the other hand, is selfless and honest. It arises naturally from a place of compassion without any expectation of reward. The need for approval also limits the scope of kindness. When we are only kind to those who we think will reciprocate or acknowledge our efforts, we create an environment where kindness becomes conditional. We may hesitate to help someone who cannot give us anything in return, or to offer support to those who are not in a position to validate our actions. This selective kindness diminishes its power and potential. True kindness is unconditional. It is not dependent on the person receiving it, nor is it contingent on the response we get. It is an act of generosity, a gift given freely without any expectation of receiving something in return. True kindness is liberating because it allows us to step outside of ourselves and focus on others. When we give without expecting anything in return, we free ourselves from the shackles of validation seeking. We offer our kindness simply because it feels right, because we want to make the world a better place, or because we want to help someone in need. This kind of kindness strengthens relationships, fosters trust, and builds deeper connections because it is genuine, untainted by selfish motivations. It is about creating an environment where people can feel safe, supported, and valued without the pressure of having to reciprocate. Furthermore, kindness that is not rooted in the desire for approval enables us to give more freely and more often. When we release the need for validation, we can offer our support, empathy, and care to others without holding back. We no longer limit ourselves to only those who can give us something in return, and we start to see the beauty in acts of kindness that are small, quiet, and unnoticed by the world. These moments are often the most powerful because they come from a place of true generosity with no agenda behind them. A word that often places so much emphasis on recognition, achievements, and validation, it can be difficult to separate kindness from the desire for approval. But in doing so, we rediscover the true power of kindness. When we give with a pure heart, without any expectation of acknowledgement, we open ourselves up to a more authentic experience of life. We engage with others on a deeper level, not as people looking to gain something, but as human beings who understand the value of connection, compassion, and mutual respect. The challenge then is to practice kindness without expecting anything in return. To offer our help, our time, our support, or our love simply because it is the right thing to do and because we know that kindness, in its truest form, has the power to change lives, ours and others. We should stop being kind for the sake of getting something back and start being kind because it is in our nature to do so. Self-kindness is a concept that is often overlooked in our pursuit of kindness toward others. We are frequently taught to be kind, compassionate, and considerate toward others. Yet we often forget to extend these same qualities to ourselves. It is as if we have been conditioned to believe that self-compassion is selfish or indulgent. We prioritize the well-being of those around us, sometimes at the expense of our own needs, desires, and mental health. But the truth is, we cannot genuinely be kind to others if we do not first practice kindness toward ourselves. Self-kindness is not only important for our personal growth and happiness, but it is also essential for our ability to show up fully for others. When we fail to practice self-kindness, we become more susceptible to burnout, exhaustion, and resentment. We give so much of ourselves to others that we have nothing left for ourselves. We overextend, overcommit, and stretch our limits in an attempt to be there for everyone. But without taking the time to care for ourselves, we inevitably end up feeling depleted and disconnected. The kindness we offer becomes less genuine because it is given from a place of exhaustion rather than abundance. Instead of being an act of love, kindness becomes a duty or an obligation, and we start to resent the very people we are trying to help. The first step in practicing self-kindness is recognizing that we are worthy of care and attention. It's easy to think that we should always put others first and that our needs are secondary, but this mentality is ultimately unsustainable. It is essential to acknowledge that we too deserve love, support, and understanding. We cannot pour from an empty cup, and if we do not prioritize our own well-being, we will have nothing left to give to others. Self-kindness is about recognizing our own humanity and treating ourselves with the same compassion and understanding that we extend to others. It means giving ourselves permission to rest, to say no, and to set boundaries without feeling guilty. One of the most important aspects of self-kindness is self-acceptance. We often hold ourselves to impossibly high standards, believing that we must always be perfect, productive, and successful. We judge ourselves harshly for our mistakes, shortcomings, and perceived failures. But self-kindness requires us to let go of the need for perfection. It means accepting ourselves as we are, flaws and all, and being gentle with ourselves when we fall short. We must learn to speak to ourselves with the same care and encouragement that we would offer a friend. Instead of berating ourselves for not being perfect, we can acknowledge our efforts and celebrate our progress, no matter how small. Self-kindness also involves making time for activities that nourish and replenish us. It's easy to get caught up in the busyness of life and forget to take care of our own needs. We might feel like we don't have time for self-care or that it's a luxury we can't afford. But self-kindness means recognizing that taking care of ourselves is not selfish. It is necessary. Whether it's taking a walk in nature, reading a book, meditating, or simply sitting quietly for a few moments, these small acts of self-care are essential for maintaining our mental, emotional, and physical well-being. By making time for ourselves, we replenish our energy and restore our sense of balance. We become more resilient, better able to cope with life's challenges, and more present for those around us. Setting boundaries is another crucial aspect of self-kindness. Many of us struggle to say no or to establish limits, especially when it comes to the needs of others. We might feel guilty or fear disappointing people if we decline requests for help or assistance. However, setting healthy boundaries is an act of self-respect and self-care. It is about recognizing that we cannot do everything for everyone and that our time and energy are finite resources. By setting boundaries, we protect ourselves from burnout and ensure that we are able to show up in a meaningful way when it matters most. Saying no is not a rejection of others. It is a way of honoring our own needs and taking care of ourselves. Another important aspect of self-kindness is forgiveness. We are often our own harshest critics, and we may hold on to guilt or regret for things we've done or failed to do. Self-kindness requires us to let go of these feelings of self-blame and to forgive ourselves for our mistakes. We must recognize that we are human, and like everyone else, we are imperfect. Holding on to guilt or shame only serves to weigh us down and prevent us from moving forward. When we forgive ourselves, we free ourselves from the burden of past mistakes and allow ourselves to grow and evolve. Self-forgiveness is an act of grace that enables us to embrace our humanity and move forward with compassion. Practicing self-kindness is also about cultivating a positive inner dialogue. Many of us engage in negative self-talk, focusing on our flaws, weaknesses, and perceived failures. We may tell ourselves that we are not good enough, not smart enough, or not worthy of love and success. This kind of thinking can be incredibly damaging and can erode our self-esteem over time. Self-kindness involves changing the way we speak to ourselves. Instead of focusing on our shortcomings, we can choose to affirm our strengths and celebrate our achievements. We can remind ourselves that we are deserving of love, success, and happiness, just as we are. By shifting our inner dialogue, we create a more supportive and nurturing environment for ourselves, which allows us to flourish and grow. Self-careness is about recognizing that we are valuable, deserving of care, and worthy of love. It is about treating ourselves with the same respect, compassion, and understanding that we offer to others. Kindness should never come at the expense of our peace or our integrity. In a world that often values selflessness to an extreme, it's easy to fall into the trap of giving so much of ourselves that we forget to protect our own inner harmony. While kindness is an admirable quality, it is crucial to understand that true True kindness should not require us to sacrifice our peace, our mental health, or our personal values. Too often we think that being kind means putting others' needs first at all costs, sometimes even at the cost of our own well-being. But this kind of unbalanced kindness can lead to burnout, resentment, and a loss of self-respect. It's important to recognize that kindness does not require us to lose ourselves in the process of helping others. The act of being kind should never make us feel exhausted, overwhelmed, or undervalued. If we are constantly giving of ourselves without taking the time to replenish our energy or establish healthy boundaries, we are not practicing kindness. We are practicing self-sacrifice. And self-sacrifice, while it may seem noble, can ultimately be damaging. It is possible to help others and still protect our own peace. In fact, true kindness often involves saying no when we need to, stepping back when we feel drained, and recognizing when we have reached our limits. When we continually put others' needs above our own to the point where it disrupts our inner balance, we start to lose sight of our own values. Our kindness becomes a form of appeasement, where we do things not because we want to, but because we feel obligated to, or because we fear that saying no will disappoint others. In these cases, we are no longer acting out of genuine care or compassion, but out of fear or guilt. This is not real kindness. Genuine kindness comes from a place of self-awareness and a strong sense of our own values. It is rooted in authenticity, not in a need to seek approval or to avoid conflict. When we are kind to others at the cost of our own values or peace, we are only harming ourselves in the long run. The challenge lies in finding balance, knowing when to extend kindness and when to protect our peace. It's not always easy, especially in relationships where there is a deep desire to please others. We may fear that setting boundaries will create tension or lead to rejection. But true kindness is not about constant self-sacrifice. It's about finding ways to help others while maintaining our own well-being. When we learn to set healthy boundaries and prioritize our own peace, we become more effective in our kindness. We are able to give from a place of abundance, not from a place of depletion. When we are at peace with ourselves, we are more capable of being present and offering genuine kindness to others. But if we allow others' needs to constantly overshadow our own, we risk losing the ability to truly connect. In order to be kind, we must first be kind to ourselves by respecting our own needs, protecting our emotional and mental health, and ensuring that we are not giving more than we can afford. Only then can we offer kindness without resentment or frustration. Being kind at the expense of our peace can also lead to compromised integrity. Integrity is about being true to who we are, and when we overextend ourselves or compromise our values just to please others, we begin to lose touch with what truly matters to us. We may start saying yes to things we don't agree with, helping people in ways that don't align with our principles, or going along with things just to avoid conflict. This kind of behavior erodes our sense of self and can leave us feeling disconnected from our true purpose. True kindness is aligned with our values and helps us grow, both individually and as part of a community. It doesn't require us to abandon what we believe in or to act in ways that don't feel authentic. In situations where our peace and integrity are at risk, kindness must be tempered with wisdom. It's essential to take a step back and reflect on what we are willing to give and what we are not. In moments of conflict or pressure, we must ask ourselves, is this act of kindness aligned with my values? Is this a genuine expression of my care, or is it driven by a desire to avoid discomfort or conflict? When we approach kindness with mindfulness, we ensure that we are giving in a way that doesn't compromise who we are or our emotional well-being. We are able to offer our kindness in a manner that is both generous and respectful of our own needs. At times, kindness may require us to make difficult decisions. It may require us to say no to someone in need or to step away from a situation that feels unhealthy. This may feel uncomfortable, especially if we have been conditioned to always say yes or to put others first. But true kindness involves knowing when to say no, knowing when to step back, and knowing when to protect our own peace. Saying no doesn't make us unkind. It makes us responsible stewards of our own well-being. In fact, by setting boundaries and protecting our peace, we can show up more fully for others in the future, offering the best version of ourselves. Protecting our peace doesn't mean being unkind or cold. It means being discerning. It means knowing that we cannot help everyone all the time, and that sometimes the most compassionate thing we can do for others is to give ourselves space to recharge and heal. It is not a rejection of others, but an acknowledgement of our own limitations. By respecting our own boundaries, we create healthier, more sustainable relationships based on mutual respect, not on one-sided sacrifice. The truth is, kindness should never come at the cost of our integrity or peace. Genuine kindness is rooted in self-awareness, self-respect, and balance. It is an expression of love and compassion, but it does not come with strings attached or a price tag or personal sacrifice. True kindness honors both ourselves and others, allowing us to give freely without losing our sense of self or peace. By practicing kindness in a way that honors our own well-being, we are able to offer our best selves to the world and create relationships that are built on trust, mutual respect, and genuine care. Kindness is often seen as a means of making the world a better place, and it undeniably has the power to do so. However, the true power of kindness lies not in the act itself, but in the space it creates for genuine connection and understanding. When we give kindness freely and without expectation, we open ourselves up to meaningful exchanges that go beyond surface-level interactions. But kindness should not be used as a tool to lose our identity or integrity. If we are constantly giving to others without considering our own needs, we risk losing sight of who we are and what we stand for. True kindness, in its purest form, is a reflection of our values, our beliefs, and our authentic selves. It's easy to think that kindness is simply about giving or doing for others. We often see kindness as something external, something we do for people to make their lives better. While that is certainly a part of it, kindness also involves being true to ourselves and protecting our values. When we give too much of ourselves without considering our own needs, we can lose our sense of purpose. It becomes easy to do what others want or need from us, forgetting what we want or need for ourselves. This loss of identity happens when we start to mold ourselves to meet others' expectations, forgetting that kindness is meant to be an expression of who we truly are, not a mask we wear to be accepted or liked. The risk of losing ourselves in kindness comes when we are driven by the desire to please others, to seek approval, or to avoid conflict. We might offer kindness to others because we believe it will make us liked, admired, or respected. While there's nothing wrong with wanting to be liked, using kindness as a tool for validation can erode our authenticity. If we are always trying to live up to the expectations of others, we begin to mold ourselves into something we are not, losing sight of the things that make us unique. We begin to perform acts of kindness to fit into a role or an image rather than doing so because it reflects our true nature. In these moments, kindness becomes less of an authentic expression and more of a coping mechanism. We may end up doing things for others that don't feel right simply because we think it's what they expect or because we fear rejection if we don't. This kind of kindness can be draining because it comes from a place of insecurity, not self-assurance. We are constantly seeking approval from others, and the kindness we offer becomes a way to fill that void. But the problem with seeking validation through kindness is that it is never truly fulfilling. It's a never-ending cycle of trying to meet expectations without ever fully connecting with ourselves. When we lose our sense of self in the pursuit of kindness, we set ourselves up for disappointment. If our kindness is driven by a desire for recognition or admiration, we are bound to be let down. Not everyone will acknowledge or appreciate our efforts. And when that happens, we can feel disheartened, unappreciated, or even resentful. The disappointment that comes from this expectation can lead us to question the very nature of kindness. We may begin to feel that kindness isn't worth offering if it doesn't yield the recognition or validation we anticipated. This is when we start to lose the essence of kindness and turn it into a transactional endeavor, one where we give with the expectation of receiving something in return. True kindness, however, is about giving without expecting anything in return. It is an expression of love, empathy, and understanding that does not require validation or recognition. When we offer kindness purely from the heart, without the need for acknowledgement or reward, we preserve our integrity and authenticity. We give not because we seek something in return, but because it is a reflection of who we are. This kind of kindness comes from a place of strength and self-assurance, not from a desire to gain approval or fulfill a need for validation. Practicing kindness in this way allows us to stay grounded in who we are. It is an act that reinforces our values, not compromises them. When we extend kindness to others, we do so because it aligns with our beliefs and our principles, not because it will help us fit in or gain favor. This form of kindness is sustainable and fulfilling because it is rooted in authenticity. We don't lose ourselves in the process. Instead, we show up fully as ourselves, embracing our individuality and offering kindness from a place of abundance rather than depletion. When we offer kindness without expecting anything in return, we create opportunities for genuine connections. Kindness becomes a bridge between people, a way to understand one another and build relationships based on mutual respect and care. When we are authentic in our kindness, we allow others to be authentic in their response, creating an environment where people can feel safe, understood, and valued. It is in these authentic exchanges that true transformation occurs, not just for those we are kind to, but for ourselves as well. We learn and grow through these connections, and the world becomes a better place, not because of the acts of kindness themselves, but because of the way those acts foster genuine human connection. In essence, the key to truly powerful kindness is rooted in preserving our identity and integrity. When we offer kindness from a place of self-awareness and authenticity, we are able to give in a way that enriches both ourselves and others. We stop giving to gain approval or recognition, and instead we give because it aligns with who we are. This authenticity is what makes kindness so powerful. It becomes a force that not only impacts those around us,